A finds a watch on the road and picks it up. Let us ascertain what is his liability in three different situations. Situation number 1, he retains it and puts it to his own use. Situation number 2, he retains it and returns it to the owner. And situation number 3, he puts it to his own use and thereafter restores it to the owner. What offense are we talking about here? Is it theft or something similar to theft? Yes, we'll be covering the offense of criminal misappropriation in today's lecture. Here we shall study section 403 IPC, which defines criminal misappropriation, look in detail the essential ingredients of the offense, find out the difference between theft and criminal misappropriation, and then the activity session. You're watching Law Cities, the mini law lecture series. First, the answer to last week's problem to ponder. We know that dacoity is robbery committed by 5 or more persons conjointly. The facts here very clearly say that 2 of the accused were acquitted during trial, which means the offense was committed by only 3 persons. And can dacoity be committed by 3 persons? No. So, the offense of dacoity will not lie against the other 3 accused. Instead, robbery could be charged. Alright, so now on to today's topic. Criminal misappropriation is an offense which is very similar to the offense of theft. As a matter of fact, criminal misappropriation is an offense which is carved out of the offense of theft, but not the same. We shall compare and contrast both of these offenses later in this video, so please stay tuned till the end. Okay, so now let us see the meaning of criminal misappropriation. Taking possession of another's property and putting it to unauthorized or wrongful use is the popular meaning of the term criminal misappropriation. But how does law define the offense? The definition of the offense of criminal misappropriation is provided under section 403 of the Indian Penal Code. It has a definition part and also 2 explanations. Let us now try finding out what the essential ingredients of the offense are from the provision. Section 403 IPC says the subject matter of criminal misappropriation is movable property. And when the movable property, which is in another's possession, is taken for unauthorized use with dishonest intention, then the offense committed is dishonest misappropriation of property, also known as criminal misappropriation. Now we shall analyze each of these essentials in detail. Firstly, the property must be of another person. But you'll not find this as such in the provision. The provision reads as, whoever dishonestly misappropriates or converts to his own use any movable property shall be punished with etc. etc. So when the code uses the term misappropriates or converts, it is deemed to be another's property put to unauthorized use. And obviously there cannot be misappropriation of one's own property, isn't it? So it definitely implies that the property is in possession of someone else. If that is the case, then how about lost property? Could lost movable property be a subject matter of dishonest misappropriation? Put in other words, could the finder of lost goods be charged with this offense? You'll find an answer to this in the provision itself. Explanation 2 to section 403 makes it clear that the finder of lost goods cannot be charged with the offense of criminal misappropriation of property, provided the property under consideration is not in any other's possession, that is, it is a property which is actually lost, and he takes it to protect it or to restore it to the owner later. And this entire act of taking is not with dishonest intention, then the act will not amount to criminal misappropriation of property. Clear? As a matter of fact, the explanation has also put forward certain conditions for non-liability of finder of lost goods, which are the finder does not know the owner or has no means to discover the owner or has used reasonable means to discover the owner, or if he knows the owner, has given notice to him and has kept the property for a reasonable period of time, enabling him to claim it. If so, the finder of lost goods will not incur any liability. But here, what do you mean by reasonable means and reasonable time? How do you quantify this reasonableness? Explanation 2 again has an answer to it. It says reasonable means and time are merely questions of fact, and hence it changes from case to case. Therefore, summarizing the conditions for non-liability, if while appropriating the movable property, the finder believes that it is not his property, and in good faith he believes that the real owner cannot be found, then he is not committing the offense of criminal misappropriation as per this provision. So now we know the liability of a person who finds property which is not in any other's possession, or in simple terms, the finder of lost goods. But then naturally a question arises pertaining to the scope of abandoned goods. Put in other words, could abandoned movable property also be a subject matter of 403 misappropriation? Let us consider two situations here. First situation, a traveler leaves behind some remnants of food covered in a newspaper. And second situation, a person leaves behind a valuable article like a phone in a shop. Yes, you guessed it right. The goods in situation number 1 are abandoned goods, and the valuable article like a phone is a lost good. And obviously law would try to protect only the lost goods, isn't it? For the simple reason that there cannot be a dishonest intention pertaining to an abandoned property, isn't it? There possibly cannot be a wrongful gain or wrongful loss with respect to an abandoned property. Therefore, an abandoned property will not fall under the purview of property not in possession of any person. Another essential ingredient of the offense of dishonest misappropriation is converts to his own use. And what does this phrase signify? It is nothing but dealing with the property of another person as if it is his own property. Thus, if the property is simply retained without an appropriation to the property, then it is not a dishonest misappropriation as per section 403 IPC. Law definitely requires an actual conversion of the thing which is misappropriated, which is undoubtedly an unauthorized use. Got it? It is to be noted here that the term misappropriation or conversion is prefixed with the term dishonestly. That is, the required mental element for the offense of dishonest misappropriation is dishonestly or dishonest intention, which is nothing but intention to cause wrongful gain to one person or wrongful loss to another person, as provided under section 24 of the Indian Penal Code. Please do refer my video on mens rea in the Indian Penal Code for better clarity. But should the dishonest intention be present in the minds of the accused from the beginning? Case law suggests that initially the taking may be innocent, probably to find the owner and restore it to him. But then eventually, if he feels that he should use it for himself for unauthorized use, then he has the dishonest intention and hence he is committing the offense of dishonest misappropriation as per this provision. Clear? So in the cases where the initial taking may be innocent, if instead of returning the property he puts it to his own use, then he is committing the offense of criminal or dishonest misappropriation. And if he returns the property to the rightful owner, then he is not committing any offense. I hope you got it clear. Alright, so now let us see the scope of temporary misappropriation in this provision. Suppose a person misappropriates a property and puts it to his own use and thereafter restores it to the rightful owner. Could it be an offense of dishonest misappropriation as per the provision? Explanation 1 to section 403 IPC says yes, it is an offense of misappropriation. The phrase for a time only is the relevant part here and makes all such temporary misappropriations a dishonest misappropriation under section 403 IPC. Let us now quickly check the punishment for the offense of criminal misappropriation, which is provided under section 403 IPC itself. It says a person who commits dishonest misappropriation will be punished with imprisonment for a term extending to 2 years or with fine or with both. Okay, so now let us compare and contrast two offences, that is theft and criminal misappropriation. First, let us see their similarities. Both these offences are offences against property falling under Chapter 17 of the Indian Penal Code. And the subject matter of both of these offences are movable property. Another similarity is with regard to the mens rea element required for both of these offences, which is dishonest intention. All these similarities happen to be there for the simple reason that, as I've stated earlier, criminal misappropriation is an offence which is carved out of the offence of theft, which is derived from the offence of theft. However, there are many dissimilarities also between them. So now let us move on to the differences of these two offences. In the offence of criminal misappropriation, which is provided under Section 403 IPC, the initial taking may be innocent. Whereas in theft, which is provided under Section 378 IPC, the initial taking or moving in order to taking is always wrongful and illegal. In criminal misappropriation, the taking is upon finding or coming across a property. Whereas in theft, the taking or removal of property is from the possession of the owner. That is, in criminal misappropriation, there is no infringement of the right of possession of a person, whereas in theft, there is an invasion of the right of possession of the person. And although the mens rea element requisite for both of these offences are dishonest intention, in criminal misappropriation, that intention must be present while conversion of the property or while misappropriation of the property. Whereas in theft, it must be present while moving the movable property. Yet another difference is with regard to the punishment provided for both of these offences. The punishment for criminal misappropriation is provided under the same provision, that is Section 403 IPC, which is imprisonment for a term of 2 years or with fine or with both. Whereas the punishment for theft, which is provided under Section 379 IPC, is imprisonment for a term of 3 years or with fine or with both. Alright, so getting on to the activity session. First problem, A sees Z drop his purse with money in it. A picks up the purse with the intention of restoring it to Z, but afterwards appropriates it to his own use. Could A be charged with criminal misappropriation of property? In the instant case, the initial act of A picking up the purse was innocent, isn't it? He picked up the purse with the intention of restoring it to Z. But when afterwards he appropriated it to his own use, he had unauthorized wrongful gain over the property, which is obviously dishonest misappropriation falling under the provision. It is to be noted that the initial innocent act happens to be immaterial once he had dishonestly appropriated it to his own use. Clear? Second problem, A finds a watch on the road and picks it up. What is the liability of A in three different situations put herein? First situation, he retains it and puts it to his own use. This is a clear-cut case of criminal misappropriation, isn't it? Once he retains a watch and puts it to his own use, dishonest intention can be read in, right? So, A can be charged for dishonest or criminal misappropriation of property. Second situation, he retains it and returns it to the owner. Here there is no conversion of the watch to his own use, as also no dishonest intention. So, A will not incur any liability in this situation. And the third situation, he puts it to his own use and thereafter restores it to the owner. This is a case of temporary misappropriation, which is deemed to be dishonest misappropriation by virtue of explanation 1 to section 403 IPC. And why is it so? Because there is conversion of the property to his own use with dishonest intention, even if it was for a shorter period of time. Therefore, A could definitely be charged with the offence of criminal misappropriation of property. And that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you found the video relevant, please don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe to the channel for upcoming lectures. See you soon.